Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this week we've heard a lot about iOS 18's upcoming features, along with iPhone 16 and much more. This is the weekly Apple News Update for the week of May 27th, 2024. iPhone 14 is now being sold refurbished by Apple on their Apple Store, and if we scroll down, you can see that they have it priced at about $150 off. So depending on the variant that you pick up, you could get it for the 14 Pro Max. We have the 14 Pro as well as the regular 14 if you wanted to pick one up. They're discounted about $150, sometimes even more depending on the model, but they're now available there. However, if you wanted a more recent iPhone, I would suggest going to your carrier, as oftentimes they offer much better deals with trade-in. But either way, it's now available on Apple's refurbished store. In a recent interview with some senior Apple executives with the site Numerama in France, Apple has said that future iPads could now have an Apple logo on the back that's in landscape. We currently have it in portrait, but now that they've moved the camera to a landscape position so that you can use it sideways in landscape mode, it makes a lot of sense that they would sort of move this so that it's now in landscape on the back. Maybe we'll see that in a future update down the road, maybe next year or something else, but at this point, we know that they might consider it in the future. Apple doesn't typically mention any sort of future product roadmaps, but that was sort of something that I think makes a lot of sense. Now, we have a lot to talk about with iOS 18, but I first wanted to mention the regular sales that we talk about every week with the different Apple deals. This week, Apple is now offering the AirPods Pro 2 down to $189.99 again, so that's good. On Amazon, sold directly from Apple. The Apple Pencil 2 is down to $79, so if you're looking for one of those, not the new Apple Pencil Pro, but the Apple Pencil 2. AirPods Max are $100 off, and the new MacBook Air M3 is a couple or $100 to $200 off, depending on the configuration. There's many other deals to talk about, and I'll link those in the description if you want to check it out, and I list those there every week. However, today's video is sponsored by Anker and their latest 3-in-1 power banks. These are on sale on Anker's website as well as on Amazon, and they offer something that many others don't with a built-in cable. So we have a built-in cable that allows for this 10,000 milliamp hour power bank to actually charge your device. You can charge 2 devices at once and see how much power is remaining. Once we plug it in, of course it can charge normally, but up to 30 watts capable, so we can charge at the maximum speed your iPhone can charge at. We also have a plug on the side that allows for it to plug into an AC adapter, which is great, all in one and very compact. If you want something that's even smaller, they have this other one that again charges at 30 watts, charges 2 devices, but's 5,000 milliamp hours. So it's a little bit more compact to bring it on the go, and again, can charge your phone at the full speed. So these are both great products with built-in cables that are good for up to 10,000 bends and seem to be very durable. So I love to actually use a lot of these products. I've been using it for a couple of weeks or a month at this point, and definitely something I would recommend. So I'll link these in the description below if you want to check out all of their new Anker power banks and all of their other products. And thanks again to Anker for sponsoring this video. Now, as we're waiting for iOS 18, we're still waiting for iOS 17.6 betas. We know that it's been in testing in certain databases and analytics for some time, and it seems like Apple just hasn't released it yet. However, we could see it as soon as Tuesday or Wednesday. We've been waiting for it. It seems like it's been delayed, as Apple typically will release the next beta right after the previous public release, such as iOS 17.5 or 17.5.1. Usually the next day they'll release the first beta of the next version. We haven't seen it yet, so we could see it sometime this week. However, they could be waiting for something later, or maybe they're just fully focused on iOS 18. We expect to see the first version at WWDC 2024 on June 10th. Apple's actually listed this on their website now as well, and if we scroll down on apple.com, you'll see WWDC 2024. It says join us online June 10th through the 14th. You can learn more all about it, and you'll be able to watch the keynote online as well. So we'll see that. We'll also see invites go out to different media people fairly soon. So that's what we're expecting for that, and then right after the keynote, we typically get the first beta. So iOS 18 Beta 1 on June 10th, and we're hearing some new things about the home screen. Mark Gurman had a lot to say about it in the recent Power On newsletter this past weekend, and he's saying that this time you'll be able to place icons wherever you want, not necessarily in a grid or anything snapping to specific areas, but anywhere you want. You could also make all of your icons change to different colors based on what they are in groupings. I sort of have a sample of what I think this may look like. I made a concept here. Just very simple, where I have a couple different widgets, things placed without a grid. There's no dock. We don't know if there's going to be a dock or not, but you could group your different apps, such as your social or maybe your messaging and phone app as one color, your music and podcasts as another, some of your social apps such as Instagram and X as another, just leave some others alone, and maybe even change them around to wherever you'd like throughout the home screen. This is something that it looks like we're going to see, and you could just place one app in theory, or maybe many in specific areas, however you'd like. So it's definitely something I know a lot of people have wanted and been looking forward to, but you could be able to change all of the colors based on what you want them to be. AI is said to be a big focus this year, and it's going to focus on tools for regular users and processing AI on the device, according to Mark Gurman. However, if it needs more power, processing different things, it could rely on something else, such as OpenAI or Google Gemini. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but most of the regular things we're expecting would be able to use things such as Safari, Notes, Photos, and other built-in apps, work directly with them. One thing that's new and a little bit different is possibly in messages or just throughout the OS in general, based on what you're typing, Apple may be able to create different emoji that don't exist typically based on the overall Unicode standard. So instead of maybe just creating the regular ones, if we go into messages, your standard emoji along with your stickers could be replaced with maybe something that looks a little bit different that's specific to the conversation you're talking about. It could generate that on device. Also, there's said to be improved Spotlight search using AI, improved search in Safari, and Siri is said to get a more natural voice this time around with interaction updates. Apple Watch updates for on-the-go tasks would be included with that, and AI will be able to generate recaps of notifications you missed with messages, news, web pages, notes, and more. According to Mark Gurman, the technology will be able to provide users with summaries of their missed notifications and individual text messages, as well as web pages, news articles, documents, notes, and other forms of media, according to what he said in his Power On newsletter. We could also get smart replies for messages and email. We've already seen some of that where it sort of generates that. Also AI-based photo editing or retouching, voice memo transcription. We've seen that from other devices. And developers will also have tools to integrate features using AI to help with Xcode and more. So all of those things are said to be coming to iOS 18. And Apple, of course, if they do decide to offload some of that information, would be to their data centers using the M2 chipset, but they'll actually have to use some of your information to do this. However, they could have maybe developed some sort of new method or privacy information that's not linked directly to you, but it seems like that's going to be a bit of a challenge. So we'll have to see how Apple talks about that and how they keep things secure. Apparently up front, there will not be a chatbot like ChatGPT as Apple's not ready. That's why they've been in talks to Google and OpenAI. So that's something that we could see maybe integrated with other people, but maybe not with those privacy benefits. So many of these features, according to Mark Gurman, will be labeled as beta or preview to start. So that's something we'll see hopefully very soon. Now, music is supposed to get some updates as well. I've talked about this in my weekend follow-up video with a new feature that helps with crossfade. So we already have that where it fades from one device to another. If we go into our music settings, we can adjust our crossfade settings here, how they fade into one song to another. So they would have a new AI-based version of that. There's also a new feature called pass-through we don't know much about, and also spatial gaming features are expected. So this, along with all of the other things I've mentioned that should be coming with the accessibility features that Apple officially announced. So we could see that as well as many surprises. However, there's no mention of split view just yet coming to iPhone. Maybe Apple will announce that. We've had it on the iPad for some time, but there's no mention of it whatsoever. Now with macOS 15, and while we don't know the name yet, macOS 15 is said to be getting a systems panel redesign. Many people were upset when Apple changed it to be more consistent with iOS and iPadOS. I personally liked it, but it was still lacking quite a bit. Many of the features such as search didn't work well, and it just needed a revamp. It seems it's going to get that to match iOS a little bit better, maybe regroup some things, and maybe things will just work a little better. We'll have some new icons and more, but we don't know much more about it at this point. When it comes to upcoming devices, well, Apple is hard at work at getting iPhone 16 ready for production, and the latest we've heard about it is not only will we have the redesign that we've already shown here, this is sort of a dummy unit or a mock-up of what it will look like. This is the regular iPhone 16, but with the iPhone 16 Pro models, it's said to get an update with the ultra-wide camera this year, bringing it to 48 megapixels. This is according to a recent leak on Weibo that people have posted, where it's said to not only be in the regular camera, but also ultra-wide. upgrade. This would make a lot of sense if it carried across both devices to help with spatial audio or spatial video when you're recording for Apple Vision Pro. You could have two 48 megapixel cameras allowing for 8K video, making the highest quality resolution possible on the Apple Vision Pro. So that makes a lot of sense to me, but as far as what they're capable of beyond that is hard to say. We still know, of course, that we have a new capture button we'll be able to press or slide back and forth, but as far as anything else, we don't really know. It looks like a fairly minor upgrade, just with a couple spec bumps. Now, many have been wanting a new iPad mini, and many have been wanting an iPad mini with an OLED display. The regular iPad mini is said to get an update maybe by the end of this year, but an OLED model, according to ZDNet Korea, is said to be in the works for 2026. So it makes sense that Apple will bring everything to OLED. They can make it thinner, have better colors, have brightness that maybe matches what the Pro does, or maybe they'll bring the Air up to OLED as well. So everything could switch to that by next year, or at this point, maybe the Mini will just stay as it is. But the recent rumors or leaks about it say that it will switch to OLED eventually. Also in recent rumors is a post by Ming Chi Kuo, who claims that Apple is working on a 20.2-inch or an 18.8-inch foldable Mac. The screen is said to be crease-free and would be a high-end device priced similarly to the Apple Vision Pro, around $3,500 or more. It would launch with the M5 chipset in late 2025 potentially. So that's something that I'm not sure that anybody wants, but if it could offer enough use, maybe be a foldable Mac that's very compact with a gigantic screen, or maybe we could use it with a keyboard off the side like a regular full-size Mac. I'm curious what Apple was thinking or has to offer in this way. I don't know that they're ever going to do a touchscreen Mac, and that makes sense that that would be touchscreen. So again, we'll have to wait and see. Apple is always testing different things out to see how they'll actually work out, and if they don't work out, they just never release them, but they're always testing new prototypes. But I definitely would like to see some innovation when it comes to that. And so that's everything this week with iOS 18, macOS 15, iPhone 16, and much more. Let me know what you're looking most forward to and what you want most out of iOS 18 in the comments below. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.